Hello, it's me again, and I have made a few episodes where I tie the tails in on my flies and the body hackle on my flies. So now we will start with the wings in this episode. So I just take one of those with the body hackles, put it back at the vise. We start directly and put it in so it gets stuck, and we look so it's straight like that. And on this fly I thought that I just will tie in one wing to make it very translucent. And then on the next fly we'll tie in 2 wings, and on the next fly we'll tie in multicolored wings. So I just attach the tying thread on the fly again and stop the turns where I want to tie in the wing, which is there, just in front of the dubbing. So on this fly I will take 1 wing. And if I use 1 wing, I take pretty much from the beginning, cut it off, and then before I brush away the fluffy underwool, I take away a few of the stiffer strands, like this, and then I take my little comb and comb away the fluffy part, and then I grab it here to take away the shorter strands that are still in the bunch, and then I put it wide between my thumb and index finger, spread it out like this. And to taper this I do a little, I don't know, I know how a few other people do it, but this is how I do it. I grab pretty many strands the first time I pull in the middle when I'm happy with the width and that they are equally long here. And I take my thumb and index finger and I pull in the middle, quite many strands. Now I made just a little bit of a tapering. Then I take fewer strands. Now I made a little bigger tapering, and then we start end it with just a few in the tip. So this is how I like to taper my flies. And now I grab a hold with my left hand like this, and then I pinch it between my thumb and my index finger and hold it like this, and then I get the tapering to be where I put it from the start. And then depending on how wide I want this wing, I will push it down on the sides. This will be just 1 wing on this fly, and I want it wide and translucent. So I put it on top, and then I grab a hold with my left hand again, with my thumb and index finger, and then I press with my thumb, so it gets a little wider. And then I just make a loose turn and I pull it down right where I want it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hard turns. And I pull this up a little bit. And then I twist it to see, and I think that this looks good already. As you can see, it's very wide, so it will swim. When it swims in the water, the strands will be pretty wide. So it will make this fly very translucent. So I'm already satisfied with how the wing ended up. And we cut this off and tidy up a little bit. Like this. And on this fly that I make with 1 wing, this translucent, I don't use so many angel hairs. I don't make it so glittery. So I just take a few strands. This is 5 strands, and I tie them in wide over the wing, so the strands won't stick together when it swims in the water. And then I have a look. So yeah, it's a good spread, and I don't want these to be longer than the longest strands of soft hair, so I cut them off shorter. Otherwise it's easier for them to stick together. So I'm quite happy with this wing. It looks pretty good, and now I will tie on 2 jungle cocks, which I measure next to each other, and I think that this will be a good length. This fly, almost as long as the body, and then I pull away the strands on the feathers. Then I curve it a little bit over my fingernail like this, so I get it a little bent. And then when I tie it in, I use a few of the strands on the stem, because when I do it like that, it's much easier to adjust, and it's a bigger chance for me to get them to sit how I want them directly. And do the same with the other feather, and put it in the same spot and check the length and a few loose turns, and then look from the front. This one needs to get a little bit higher, so just lift this one up. That is fine by me. And then some glue on the thread to lock the wing in and to lock the jungle cock in. And now I don't need to make hard turns, because I just want the glue to attach the jungle cock in the wings. But I will use a little bit more glue on the tip of the wing that's sticking out under the tying thread, to make the fly as durable as I can. And I will try to tidy up a little bit if I can. A few strands like that. It's good to have a few strands sticking out here when you put on the glue, because that will make the wing stick a whole lot better on your fly. I don't know if you've been through it, but I've been through it a few times when I've fished a fly, and then when I look at the fly, I wonder, where did the wing go? So sometimes I make mistakes when I tie flies, and when the wing, the fly lands on the surface, splash! It's pretty much pressure when you cast, especially when you try to cast further than you can do. You have to have durable flies, and plus that, you want, if you catch a fish on the fly, you don't want to lose it, and you don't want it to break. You want to fish with that fly. And on the fly this size, I choose a feather like this, and I use pretty much of the stiffer strands, because they're very translucent compared to the fluffy part here, but I will use a little bit of the fluffy part to cover up the ugliness as well. This will not be so big in the water. And just lock in the feather on my side, and then tie it down over the yellow little thread, not thread, but the wing, little yellow wing part. And as always, we make the first turn as close to the wing as we can. Hold back the strands, and And the tighter we tie everything, the more durable the fly will be. And everything underneath this feather is now glued, so it's pretty durable. And then I work my way a little bit forward, and then when I come to the fluffy part, I go down on the extra small tubing like this and make the last turns. If you're wondering why my hands are shaking so much, it's because I drank 2 cups of coffee before I did this. I sometimes do that and my hands start to shake. And now I tied it in with a few turns in the front here, and you don't want to make those turn to the front or to the back. You want it to try to make them on top of each other. And then I take my little comb to see how the hackle is sitting, and it's okay. And this is a pretty translucent but quite big fly, and I want this to when I fish with a floating line, I want this to go under the surface about this much. So I put on extra small tungsten turbo cone head in gold. That will also help with the wing to be wide and the hackle to be wide, because this pushes the water away from the fly and the strands will follow it a bit and then will come together again. So this one will be very translucent. And sometimes you want fish to see the fly really well, and sometimes you want the fish to see the fly as late as you can. And then when you put on the glue with the thread, you try to make the turns on top of each other so we can hide everything with a cone head. And that it touches the hackles. And now I remember that I had a piece of Niklas Bauer's pike. Here it is. Pike fly tubes that I made in orange to find them easier, but now I didn't find it because it was under some orange hackles. And then I just put my fingers here and hold against and push down the cone head thoroughly so it gets into the little glue I used. And if I do this very hard and don't hold the fly, I will push the fly in so hard that I won't be able to get the fly out of the vise after. So that's why I'm pushing against. And then just cut off the thread, take the fly out, go in the back and have a look. I think this looks really good. As you can see, it's very wide and very translucent, and the hackle will be translucent and swim nice too. So that's a fly with just one wing and one thin hackle, and then we cut it off a few millimeters away from the tungsten turbo cone head, and then melt it down a little by little until it touches the tungsten cone head and holds it. Then I usually do like this, put this over the vise and make the hole nice and round. And this is a one-winged, quite big tube fly. And I have a piece of a ruler here so I can have a look. And this one is, I measure it out to the thinnest strand, so it's 6.5 centimeters, 6 centimeters, which is a medium-sized fly. So here it is. A very nice taper with just one wing. You can see it's pretty thick in the beginning and very thin in the end here. And then I look from underneath so that the tail is straight under the wing, which is luckily it is on this fly. And put a comb through it, and the fly is done. This one will probably be used in River Gaula in not so long of a future if the sun is shining. So that's the first one. One wing, one hackle. Next fly will be 2 wings, 2 hackles. Next fly will be 3 wings, 3 hackles. So thank you for watching. I will see you soon. Bye bye.